All right, we're going live on a Monday morning, which is going to be the normal going forward. But let's get Facebook up in here as well before we're going. I don't know how many people will be joining us today, given that it is our first new Monday morning show, which will be the case going forward. But Scott's here and I'm here, so let's get it to it. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing good. This will be a good test for the alert system, right? So did
Yeah.
you get an alert? And if you just tuned in and you didn't see Nick, he was off air for just a moment. But we can always count on EJ to get to be on the ball when we get those alerts going. That YouTube alert goes out, and I will teach Nick how to schedule a chat so it sends the alerts out 30 minutes in advance instead
There we
of
go.
prepping one. But yeah, it's Mondays make sense. I feel like sometimes we lose a little bit of our thunder by waiting for Tuesdays in season and rehashing some stuff. So this will kind of become the morning after show of game day. And right now, since the Broncos were off Sunday, I'm going to take a look at the positional groups and kind of review, rank, rate the positional groups as we go through them today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And EJ's in the house. Good to see you. Yeah, I definitely totally forgot to schedule it. I just make the room, and I'm sure there's different ways to make it. But I'm home alone still and schlubbing around. So I probably should have gotten that taken care of. We got Sun E Days coming in here. Good morning, Broncos country. Good to see you. Man, everybody's coming in. It's good to see. We got 13 eyeballs, but it's a sleepy Monday morning here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm sure it is out in Colorado as well. Get your coffee going. Obviously, it's a shout out to everybody. I'm drinking Scott's drinking it black. I always like a little bit of cream. Probably the Midwestern in me, love a little dairy. But guys, this is Broncos for breakfast. You guys can follow us on Twitter, Scott at Scout Kennedy, and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. And while you're there, follow us at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. Facebook folks, make sure you go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Over on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like and share to this page. Hit the bell for the notifications. That way you know when we go live. That way, if we're planning something like this where it's new people coming in or a new kind of don't have you guys trained, so to speak, for the Monday show.
It's a new time zone. You make sure you get your alerts.
Exactly. And also make sure you're hitting the alerts and liking, subscribing, and sharing to Scott's channel at youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. And everybody coming in right now, we do have the Patrick Surtain jersey giveaway still underway. Facebook stars, YouTube super chats, super stickers, etc., etc. Make sure you're getting those in there to win a chance for a Patrick Surtain II jersey. Probably right now, if we were buying stock on any player on this Broncos team, Surtain probably have the highest pay for the stock. But you're going to have some good long-term investment there at that Surtain jersey as well.
Well, so, I think we're about a quarter of the way left, so about 25% left, and we were about 65% to goal. And Dave Glassman coming in, contributing to that goal already this morning. Thank you for the stars. And Dave, I saw your question yesterday, but it scrolled off the chat so fast I couldn't find it. Yes, I did buy insurance on the NLCS and paid $250 for an Atlanta Braves win. So yes, I did put $250 on the Dodgers to win. That I call that insurance. What are you willing to pay to see your team advance? For me, it was $250. That's what I paid. That's what they advanced. So I figure, if I'm going to have to continue to suffer through pain and misery of watching my team blow another big lead, I'm going to get paid for it. Otherwise, we're going to put some insurance down and make sure it happens. So appreciate the question, Dave. Appreciate the stars. And Andrew coming in big, as always, coming in big this morning. And he's also contributing through the shop at huddleuppod.com, saying ordering some mugs as we speak. Love your guys' show and really appreciate the content. I like the mugs. The Broncos for breakfast. It's nice and clean. The only problem is I don't wash my mug out every day. So you see, I got ring around the collar up here. So it's like a seasoned pan. I haven't washed this pan in 10 years. I'm like, well, that's a little gross. This is coffee. So yeah, good stuff.
Honestly, this may be a little bit crazy. I was thinking about getting a second mug just to have a backup just in case. And maybe sometimes, double fist it. I've
got another one coming. It should be here for Mark Langley, for Mark from Georgia. It shipped this weekend. So he's such a huge contributor for YouTube. Speaking of big contributors on YouTube, that I ordered him a mug and I'm going to go have a cup of coffee with him over in Dallas, Georgia. So Mark from Georgia, Scott from Georgia. So I've got two, and I'm going to give one away. Broncos 16-1. Dark roast. Let's get this party started. Absolutely. It's coffee talk on a Monday morning. Broncos 16-1. almost feel like maybe that's part of the mystique, but I feel like I should call you by a name. Until I am familiar with people, I'm just not comfortable with calling people by their last names or their nicknames or something like that. It's disrespectful to me. So Broncos 16-1.
Yep.
Thank you. And hopefully we'll get to meet up one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Dave Glassman, Andrew Lampy, and Broncos 16-1. You guys are great, keeping the lights on. And a Monday morning that we don't even have you trained on, that we're coming live. We got to say hello to our Twitch folks. Good morning over on Twitch. Robot of Doom 5 saying good morning, fellas. Listening while I hit leg day. Oh man, you're a monster. I have a buddy out here that in the Pacific Northwest moved out here recently. He is a bodybuilder. So he's been trying to get me to go out to the gym with him, and I don't know if I want to be. I'm kind of looking for the skinnier, you ever watch It's Always Sunny?
I didn't. I haven't.
There's a really bad line, but it's Dennis. He's like, I'm looking for the gaunt like Jesus on the cross. They're terrible. But I'm looking for
as long as you're terrible to everybody, you can get away with it.
Oh, that
for
is
the
that.
most part. Until
that show.
Until you maybe this day and age is tough. You twitch the wrong button, and it doesn't matter if you're making fun of 100 other people.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to make that show today. No doubt about it. But my God, it's hilarious.
I don't build muscle very well. It's why I kind of wanted to be a boxer. I was 6'1", I was 150 pounds, and I could bench press in the neighborhood of 250, 265, and I was fast. And I'd lie to people like, oh, what do you bench? So you're working out. I'm like, yeah, I'm like 205. Like, bullshit. I'm like, no, I did 205 for a set of 8 this morning. I'm just skinny. So I was like, I'm going to go for the Tommy Hearns look. Who's the best middleweight 160-pound boxer? That's what I need to go for, because I'm never going to look like an NFL defensive back. I got these skinny little wrists. I can't pull that off.
Well, be careful if you're a boxer doing that. Arthur coming in from Germany. Hey guys, best wishes. Another Twitch supporter. Oh, Broncos 16-1 giving him his name, Jim. Good to see you, Jim.
Nice, thanks, Jim.
Funny show. That's hopefully our content is funny on purpose, not funny as a joke. Jeremy Sean coming in. Yeah, Monday Broncos for breakfast. That'll be the norm going forward. We got Howler Surf Bro too saying, glad y'all are here to start my week. Broncos need to be sellers. No need to prolong the false narrative that we're competitive. We're not close. The sooner we embrace the rebuild, the better. What do you think about this comment from Howler? We're going to get into grading the units today. Obviously, the mini bye week, and kind of be a little bit reflective in that regard. But your thoughts on the Broncos becoming a seller now that we have only one game left until the trade deadline?
Well, it's tough. I mean, it's easy to say from 30,000 feet to say, yeah, this is done. Yeah. But you got an organization full of hundreds of people that you can't just say we quit. It's not really fair. I can't look at 53 players on the roster and say we're done. We've quit. Appreciate you coming in, ride out the season. But we're done for next year. That's a tough message. I mean, It is. It's easy to say from here. I agree with you. If you can find the right pieces to sell and get and get capital for it, good. But it's got to be the right deal, because, again, 3-4, lost 4 in a row. If you make that move, the building's done. I mean, not just the team, not just the season, but the morale around the building. There might be a star assistant general manager you're trying to keep. Somebody all the way down the line, people you don't think of. Yeah. There's hundreds of people involved in this organization, and just to turn around and say we quit, that's a tough sell. It is right now.
Yeah. Yep, as Emmanuel Sanders said 3 years ago now, the Broncos are in a world of suck, and they continue to be, unfortunately. Maybe that Raiders loss isn't as bad, because as they totally smack the Eagles last week, looking pretty darn good, even giving up points in the red zone with an interception. And maybe, hey, the Broncos aren't in last place alone in the AFC West, with the Chiefs looking absolutely terrible out there. So it's we'll see what happens from here. We got Blank 916 over on Twitch as well, looking like what is it, Rosa Riveter, the We Can Do It chick there. So shout out to that. It's always a good Halloween.
Here's Nick, the young guy, talking about one of the greatest women figures of all time as a chick. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a real chick. Or was she? That wasn't real though. She's not real. I don't know.
But it was a symbolism of empowering women, dude.
Well, yes, I'm just the image is like the size of a mite on my screen, so I could be totally
Oh,
wrong.
it's Rosie the
Rosie
Riveter.
Riveter. Yes. Yes, you're correct. What an awesome chick.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, and Jeremy helped me out with this, that was, a symbol of,
Rosie.
World War II, the women hitting the
Yep.
factories and keeping this
Yep.
country running while the men were over in Germany and Japan.
100%.
Like I said, one of the greatest symbols of women empowerment and thankfulness of all time.
Yep.
It's a cool
And
chick.
it's one awesome chick. Do not say chick has any sort of limitation or demeaningness. That's
No, I call my daughter Chica all the time.
exactly. Miguel coming in. Good morning, fellas. Awesome to see. Keith coming saying it's a rebuild. We got Colby Haynes in the house saying, morning, guys. Bronco for breakfast. Pleasant surprise on a Monday morning. Well, don't be surprised going forward. We're going to be coming at you Monday morning from here on out, 3 days a week. So it'll be great to see you. And I want to get to a couple of these real quick from EJ coming in here saying Peyton has an easy job in this year's draft. Either Malik Willis or Matt Corral. Let's go. And then we also had one coming in mentioning somebody mentioned Carson Strong. Here we go. Howler. I say we go best player available at edge, tackle or cornerback in round one. Try to get Carson Strong on the tail end of round one, trading up or round two. So did you watch much college football this weekend? Have you watched much college
No,
football?
I was all baseball all weekend.
Okay.
I didn't even watch much of Chelsea because they were on at 7:30 in the morning when I was in the car, and when I came back from 6 hours at the baseball park in the hot sun, I fell asleep for 2 hours.
Yep. No, I've watched a good amount of college football this weekend, even going back and watching a lot of games yesterday or late into the night. I don't have when living in the central time zone before, used to be able to stay up until 3 a.m., watching the Pac-12 at dark. And now I'm on the West Coast. The games end much earlier. So I'll stay up late and rewatch games from the 9 a.m. kickoff slot out here. But Arthur
when I
coming
was
in
your
also.
age, I watched SEC football on the I think there were 4 or 5 time slots. It was noon, 3, 6, 7, and 9. So there were 5 games, and I watched all 5 of them
Yep.
all day long from noon to about 1 in the morning. That didn't have much of a social life. That was before kids, obviously. That's what changed. People are like, oh, you get married, it changes. Like, it doesn't change things. Getting married doesn't change things. Having kids changes things.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Given my life has not changed that much since then. But we also got Arthur coming in saying, would you rather have Dabble and Corral or Roman and Willis? I did not watch too much Liberty this week, but I saw that Matt Corral had a couple good plays and a couple bad plays and also injured his ankle. I think it was either his ankle or his knee. I don't know
Been
how
talking up
serious.
this November 6th game for 3 weeks. He better be healthy in 2
He
weeks.
might not be healthy. He got injured. So we'll see if that happens. And I watched the Ole Miss. God, who did they play? I watched the Ole Miss game, and I won't lie to you, I was not very impressed with Matt Corral. A lot of the throws are quick slants over the middle, off of an RPO or a jet sweep motion look. Not really much of a drop back option or going through multiple reads. And shout out to Ole Miss, I guess, Lane Kiffin, they're getting it done. But like on 3rd and plus, almost every single play that game, they weren't getting it done through the air. They were handing it off, not putting it on Matt Corral's arm, but rather the running back's legs, which works.
Okay.
But
I thought I haven't watched a ton, but I thought his motion was a little funky. I haven't dissected the effectiveness of it, but just real quick, when you're glancing through, it's like, let's watch him for a second. I'm really going to watch him in that game, Malik Willis and Matt Corral, Liberty and Ole Miss on the 6th.
Yeah.
But I was like, his motion's a little odd. But that's okay. I've said forever, I said, I still can't believe Phillip Rivers is a quarterback. And I grew up watching Bernie Kosar, so motion, mechanics ain't everything when you're talking about quarterback play.
Yeah, no, totally. It does matter. Some it can be detrimental to a point, but as long as they're still getting it done, it's not affecting their
again, can you get it out quickly? That's the thing. Phillip Rivers still gets it out quickly, even though it looks really weird. One of the Sims boys wasn't Chris. Chris was pretty good. It was the younger one. I think it was Matt Sims or somebody. I remember I was like, he's got a square release. It's he'll come back, drop it down, pull it back, pull it over, and then let it go. Like his
too much.
He didn't have a loop. He didn't have
Like
a big
lollipop.
circle. His is actually a square. It looked. I always think of, when I think of bad mechanics, I think of the line from Tin Cup. He's like, my swing feels like an unfolding lawn chair. I'm like, that's kind of what his throwing mechanics look like.
Yeah, well, we got the good morning from DeAndre Weatherspoon coming in, and Clayton Huron also smashed the like button, guys. I was not super impressed with Corral. I also watched Malik Willis. I went back and watched the Pitt versus Clemson game, and Kenny Pickett, he did make some actually big time throws that I was impressed with.
I got a feeling he might end up being one of the guys. I just kind of like the feel and the moxie about that kid.
Do you have any reservations given there's multiple factors here that give me a little pause?
Right now, it's pure gut feeling. I'm not getting into too much of this stuff because I'm going to sound I don't know them well enough to get past just high feelings of this is why they're going to be good. This is what I have concerns about. I just have a kind of a gut feeling about this guy.
Okay, well, this is more overarching. Some factors with him that give me pause. A, he's much older compared to other quarterback prospects. I think he's going to be 25 coming in, which Joe Burrow was too. But that's not something you're looking for. Typically, quarterbacks historically, and there's a lot of good data on this. I think it was Joe Goodberry, who works for The Athletic, did a analysis on this. Quarterbacks typically hit 3 peaks, and there are bumps, and they are age related. 19 to 20 years old, there's a step forward. 24 to 25, and then 27 and 28. And Pickett, maybe he's already hitting his second bump, and he's not going to get another one then in the NFL that you saw from Justin Herbert.
The question about it then becomes, is he good enough now? The first 5-star I ever put on a freshman was Dylan Moses when he was a running back linebacker coming out of Louisiana. And I said, the reason why is it's like, well, he might be peaked out now. He might be tapped out. I'm like, that's okay. If he was a senior, I'd put 5 stars on him. Yeah. So it's like he's 220 pounds running a 4.5 and blowing people up as a freshman. I don't care that he's a freshman. His numbers are already good enough. So if that's the question, you're not looking at upside. Is he going to get a little stronger? Is he going to get a little? Is he good enough now? And if he is, then he's okay. The question about quarterbacks, though, one, he's more mature. I grew up with who was a 30-year-old Heisman Trophy winner at Florida State, Chris somebody. Can't remember his name. He came came back from baseball. I think he was 27 when he won the Heisman.
I know who you're talking about. Somebody in the chat could probably fill it.
Yeah, he ended up down at IMG, and now I can't remember his name. But with quarterbacks, it's not necessarily too scary because they can play for 15 more years. If he comes in the league at 25, Calvin Ridley comes in the league at 25. He's going to be 29 in the first year of his non-rookie contract. Yeah. He was because he was a double holdback type. He turned 20 in December of his senior year in high school. Yeah. So, and I fight this right now because I've got this hits a particular sore spot with me because I've got an August birthday kid who is on time. So he'll graduate at 17 years old and he's playing against 20-year-olds in high school. Really? Come on.
Well, what coffee are you drinking? Are you drinking a dark roast? Clayton wants to know.
Yeah, medium dark from Cafe Brit. Just ordered another 2 pounds.
There you go.
Because I was running low, but I signed up to their mailer, and I'm going to send this to Cafe Brit and said, you need to send me some money, send me some free coffee. Sign up for their mailer because they're offering offers all the time.
I went to the roastery.
I wait for the 25% off, and then I hit 2 pounds.
I'm drinking some brew from Dubuque, Iowa. So that's living out in Seattle, drinking Iowa coffee. What am I doing? But
Jeremy's good. He must be just a few years younger than me because his brain still works. I'm forgetting all of those guys, but yeah, it was Chris Winkie. And I think he was a first-round draft pick, and I can't remember what it was, but I think someone took him in the first round. But remember Brandon Whedon? He came out.
I was going to say Brandon Whedon.
State. Yep. Was a guy like that too.
Yep, he was like 27 when he came out. Not great. Another one was Drew. It was the quarterback who they tried to play before Tony Romo, who was maybe the starter over Tom Brady for a little bit too. Then went and played baseball. I can't remember his name. Drew something.
He was good though.
Yeah, he was solid. That's another guy who was older that came back.
He wasn't Tom Brady, but he was good. And I'm forgetting his name. It's a bitch getting old.
Monday morning, right? God, yeah. I'm gonna blame Monday, not age. You're not that old, Scott. Kiaka coming in here saying good morning.
No, guys. I'm not thinking of Drew Stanton. There was the guy. Drew Stanton was a guy. He was he went to Michigan, and was a baseball player. I think he was in the Yankees organization. But who was the really good quarterback for the Patriots before Tom Brady? Somebody help me out. Drew Bledsoe. Thank you. We don't have Googler. Hey Google, who played quarterback before? Drew Bledsoe, and now Google just answered. Sorry about that.
I can't remember the name. Drew Henson. Yep, it was Drew Henson. Major League.
Was he the one in the Yankees organization?
Yep, and he played. I think he started over Tom Brady there for a little bit with Yep, Henson. Here we go. Over Tom Brady for the
And Todd Helton was at
Tennessee,
Tennessee.
the backup of Peyton Manning.
Well,
At
he was older than Peyton Manning, because the story that when he decided to go full-time baseball, the story was, "Hey Todd, when did you decide to go full-time baseball?" When I saw Peyton Manning throw a football.
Yep.
That was kind of the joke there with him at UT.
Yeah, and we got my guy, Marquis Serrano, a friend from my hometown, coming in here. I guested on his show the other day, and he asked me if I had any bets. I'm not typically a bettor on these things, but he said, if you had any bet you'd bet your life on for this Broncos-Browns game, who would it be? I'm like, Dearness Johnson, 52 over under rushing yards. Pound the over. I've never been more guaranteed in my life. And luckily that one came out to be true. But Diamond Rattler coming in saying, I wouldn't take a quarterback in the opening rounds of the draft until the owner is solidified. Peyton and whatever staff he chooses could be gone, whatever that person comes into. This is a good point with Diamond Rattler. Do you think that the ownership transition impacts the Broncos going quarterback? I'd hope if they loved a guy, it wouldn't, but maybe it causes them to punt a year because you'd lose some stability, and also it'd buy you some time with the new ownership. You don't buy it at all?
I don't think so. Owners don't affect personnel, especially when it comes to the draft. You're not going to say, we don't want to get the quarterback of the future. What will affect their ability to get a quarterback is, one, draft position, and two, the quarterbacks themselves.
Yep.
If there is a quarterback they like in their draft position, they should absolutely take one.
Mm-hmm.
You're almost in denial when you're working in a situation like that. You got to put on blinders, forget what's going on above you, and say, I got a job to do. And my job is building this team to the best of my ability. And that doesn't change. That's not going to change with professionals. They're not going to say, no, I don't want to bring in a quarterback here that could help the team and build for the future because I might not be here. That's not going to happen. You go out and do the job to the best of your ability. And if that involves bringing in, and that means a quarterback that's available is the best player for your team right then, you're going to take him. The ownership doesn't affect the day-to-day operations nearly as much as we would like to think to as fans.
Yep.
Especially in the draft. And free agency, it might, because I got to go to the ownership and say, I need a $50 million signing bonus.
Yeah.
Then it matters. I need a $25 million contract for this coach I'm going after. Then it matters, but not with the draft.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. We got Clayton coming in saying, I'm a big Wisconsin fan. Play your team. Obviously talking about my Iowa Hawkeyes. Good luck. What do you think the score will be? I think it'll be 20-16 be the final score. I think Wisconsin's going to win, actually. I think Iowa, Wisconsin looks like they're starting to figure it out. And they also have a freshman running back who is like classic Wisconsin, Braylon Allen. He is a true freshman, and he is 6'2", 240 pounds at the running back position. He's just an absolute unit. And also Wisconsin has a pretty good defense. He might not come out this year, but everybody will talk. I saw there was some linebacker talk in the chat here. Wisconsin has a guy who was just flying around, Leo Chanel. I think 2 weeks ago he had 17 tackles. This last week he had 9 tackles and like 4 of them for a loss. He wears number 5 for Wisconsin. He's very obvious to watch him out there because he's an absolute difference maker. So really fun. That should be a good game. Wisconsin, Iowa, always kind of battling for the top of the Big Ten West. Speaking about being in the top, Peter Middleton coming in here, always supporting us with stars and keeping us on our toes. Said had the best weekend result, even went well for the Broncos. Shame the Broncos aren't winning as the league is there to be taken. I was so right about the Chiefs. Yeah, let's get into this real quick. AFC West, and then we got to talk about grading the position groups.
Appreciate the stars, Peter.
Yeah, Peter, you're a real one. Thank you so much. I'll see Mark Lindenboat is in the house as well. Says he's late, but that's okay. Broncos, the AFC West looks there for the taking, and that is because the Chiefs look softer than warm butter. Did you get a chance to catch much of the Titans versus Chiefs game? Because, what an ugly game for Patrick Mahomes. What an ugly game for the Chiefs defense.
I watched 10 baseball games this weekend. That's what I watched. I watched youth baseball. That's where I am, and I kept up with scores and box scores and extended highlights. But that's where my weekend was. It was at Lake Point Complex in Cartersville, Georgia, all weekend.
Well, let's say the NFL as a whole was getting into the trick-or-treat spirit with a lot of trick plays, and the Titans were one of them too. Can Derrick Henry win an MVP as the running back with only rushing touchdowns? Yes, he can. But
yes, he can.
He's diversifying his portfolio because he threw a passing touchdown in this game on a trick play. It was beautiful. It was to Nicole Priet, who I believe is the tight end he's either from like Northern Illinois or Southern Illinois, I believe. But the Titans took it to the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes looks like peak Brett Favre on when those Packer teams were not as good and he was just throwing it around. He's getting hit like crazy. The offensive line had a bad game against what looks like a decent Titans defense. Not great in the secondary, pretty injured in the secondary, but a team that was getting after it. Jeffrey Simmons really blowing up that interior offensive line. And the Chiefs, it's unfortunate the Broncos are not great this year because the Chiefs look as vulnerable as they have in 6-7 years.
Will it make you feel better if you go 5-12 and sweep the Chiefs?
I just give me one win versus the Chiefs. If we sweep the Chiefs, that'd be great. But like, I would love. We haven't beaten the Chiefs since week 2, 2015, and that was a game that was. Let's be honest, Broncos. You might not know this, but Broncos country. Look in the mirror. Let's be real. That game was gifted to the Broncos. Broncos score a touchdown. Peyton Manning marches them down the field to either tie it or fall right behind, and then Jamal Charles fumbles one with like 30 seconds left, and the Broncos scoop it up and score. And that was
Isn't
one.
it terrible when the team that you have is going in for the game-winning touchdown to send you to the Super Bowl and your running back fumbles.
Yeah.
Isn't that terrible? Wait, that happened for you for a Super Bowl.
Yes.
So.
Yes. That's 2015, man. We used up a lot of luck.
You know what? Let's circle back here, Nick, and let's go back to the title of the show was actually grading some of the positional units while we're here. And I wanted to let's just kick it off with quarterback here because Prospecting with Disabilities on YouTube had a question here a few minutes ago. They got this started. Says, do you guys think the OC or QB coaches are the problem, not Drew or Teddy? You start, and then I probably won't have to say anything because you're going to say what I'm thinking.
Well, it's unfortunate, and I'd rather everybody looks for simplification when things like this occur. And like if you just fire, the problem is this one guy, and once we move on from this one guy, everything will be fixed. Typically, there's multiple things going on that are leading to the bad results that you don't want. So do you think it's coaching or Teddy or Drew? It's probably both. Teddy and Drew have limitations. The coaching scheme doesn't seem to be meshing. Each quarterback also has a different style, which makes it hard to run the offense for them. I guess I will say I have a hard time totally blaming the quarterback coaches specifically because that's stuff that I don't have film of them in the film room. Like if I had film of them in the film room or something, maybe I could make some sort of judgment. But as far as what Shula's doing and whatnot, I can't really speak to that other than the end result of the quarterback play, which is still, you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle. So what do I think is the main problem? It's probably the quarterbacks themselves being limited, as much as I hate to say that, because amazing franchise quarterbacks tend to get it done no matter what. And we've seen that with quarterbacks over the years. Great quarterbacks raise mediocre coaches all the time, and neither of these quarterbacks have been doing that. So as the main problem, I'd probably lean them, but it's both. They're not; these guys aren't helping those quarterbacks as much as you'd want either.
Yeah, and I don't think this is an either-or proposition. And I'm not going to say anything about the quarterback coach. Typically, the quarterback coach is the offensive coordinator a lot of times. So I think more along schemes. And are these top-tier NFL quarterbacks? No, they're not. Teddy's been around long enough that we know what we're going to get, which was average quarterback play. We talked about at the top of the season, if you finish average, if you go from 32 to 16 to 18, which is about where I expected him in QBR, that's a big step up in quarterback play. Yep. Now you need everything else to come together, which is a top 5 defense, better offense, good offensive line play and a running game, and you're a playoff team. Well, you've got average quarterback play across 7 games, by the numbers, and you don't have a top 5 defense. You haven't stayed healthy, and your running game is for naught. So, the other parts haven't come together. So your quarterback of the future is not on this roster, best I can tell. There's a lot of people that want to cling to Drew Lock, but Drew Lock in his limited time, about 18 games, across 3 seasons in the organization, hasn't shown that he is the franchise guy. That's why we're talking about quarterbacks in this next class. And at the very beginning, we said if Teddy Bridgewater wins this job, you've got a new starting quarterback in 2023. Next year is going to be a stopover or a build a rookie season. And 2023 will be, okay, hopefully this is your guy, which sucks. Yeah. It sucks to think, I got to wait 2 more years for this. Yep. But you were hoping that Bridgewater would be good enough that everything else would elevate this team. And right now, everything else is falling down. Yep. So it's not an either or proposition for me. It's both. And to get better, you're going to need a clean sweep. You're going to need head coach, offensive coordinator, franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and we got DeAndre contributing to the chat here. Always good to see you, DeAndre. Said the coaches aren't making adjustments or adapting their scheme for neither quarterback. Could argue that for the defense as well, although it's a little bit tough with the not to make too many excuses, but the short week with the linebacker situation the Broncos had against probably the best rushing team in football makes it pretty tough. But that's football, so you got to figure it out. Andrew coming back in here saying Denver may be the only team in the NFL that doesn't use motion to tip the defense hand pre-snap. Yeah, very limited amount of motion. Early on, Shermer was using a lot of play action. That was when the Broncos were playing better defense, worse teams, but better defense, and had a chance to play with a lead or make it even, et cetera, et cetera. That probably impacted some of that. But it's been unfortunate. Let's get right into it now because we do want to grade these positional groups. Quarterback, leaning right into it. I'm going to give the quarterback a solid C. I think that it could be better. It could be worse. Teddy early on, the first 3 games. I mean, the last 3 games, probably a D minus, even below his what you'd expect from him. Although I thought the Browns game was not terrible, especially in that second half. That interception was bad, but beside the point. So I'm going to give the Broncos quarterback room a solid C. They are about what I expected. They are probably about league average with Teddy so far. That's not enough to win games given how bad the defense has been as well. But I'm going to give them a C.
Yeah, that's where I was. I was a C to C minus on this right now. And, a lot of it is it started off really well and it's gone down. So if you grade the whole season, I say, okay, probably AAA or, A, B plus, B minus, but your first 3 games are in there. And then the next 4, it seems to have steadily declined.
Yep.
But if I look down at the quarterback ranking for the course of the season, you're going to be right there, middle of the pack. So I would go C right there. Moving to the offensive line, my question is will that quarterback grade be better if I wasn't giving the offensive line a D?
Can we grade the interior and the tackles separately?
That's fine. I would go C minus on the tackles out wide right now. I don't think they've done a great job in pass protection, and that's their main job. Their main job is to protect the edges, and I see way too many front fours putting pressure on the Denver Broncos backfield. Not just Teddy Bridgewater and the quarterback, but when they're running the ball, there's too much penetration. And if you can control the line of scrimmage with a front 4, it's tough to do anything on offense.
Yeah, I thought the Broncos luckily didn't get called for many holdings against Myles Garrett, but the offensive line performed as good as I could have hoped versus the Browns. They have another tough task this next week against Washington football team with Montez Sweat and obviously Chase Young, who's been a little bit down this year, but I mean, watching him, he's still just a freak, one-on-one reps, getting after it. So I'd probably give the offensive tackles a C minus right now. It's not great, but I also know I watched the you said it was all a weekend full of baseball for you. I watched the Bears Tampa Bay game yesterday. I've never seen it. It's been since Michael Schofield in 2015 that I've seen a tackle as bad as what the Bears put on the field this last week. He was beat he was beat every single play. It was absolutely insane. They sat him and played their 5th string offensive tackle.
That's how I felt about the Raiders guard, the rookie guard.
Oh, yeah.
The only name I could, for some reason, the name Anthony Littlejohn comes to mind. I'm like,
Alex Leatherwood. Alex Leatherwood.
It sounds like that. Leatherwood. That's how I felt that going into the game against the Broncos, he was that bad. I mean, it was as bad a display as I've ever seen. And then he was okay.
Yep.
It happens.
Yeah. Well, this guy was the one that was not highly drafted or highly tools. He was just getting beat like a drum. Bobby Massey is who he thought he was. So it's he's a below average tackle, but he's better than Elijah Wilkinson and at least gives you some stability out there. And Garrett Bowles, while he's regressed a lot, I think he's probably closer to league average than he is elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Not what you want from him, not what you're paying, but I'd probably give the tackles a C minus. The interior offensive line, I'm going to give them a solid D. And part of that is it's hard to grade them because I know that Dalton Reisner is still dealing with an injury. Graham Glasgow's had multiple things happen to him this season, but they're not getting the push up front. Cushenberry is still, a finesse player when you're trying to run a power scheme. Dalton Reisner, a finesse player. And also I think Dalton Reisner looks like he's lost a little bit of his mobility. Is that injury? Is that He looks a little bit bigger than he was when the Broncos brought him in as well.
Yeah, I told you when I was watching him pull, he wasn't getting there.
He used to be pretty good at that.
When he's and not only was he not getting there, he was high.
Yeah.
So he's upright and moving, so that when he does make contact with the second level, there's no leverage there. So he's high and slow, and that's a bad way to be on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Real quick before I get into the interior line too, I want to say good morning to Nathan. My coffee is gone, and it was damn good. So appreciate it. My day be sweet. We're getting off to a good start. I like this Monday morning time slot. So appreciate the stars, Nathan.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nathan. You're great. Good to see you here.
Interior line. I mean, you're talking D minus for sure, and there are extenuating circumstances. You're talking injuries, heart palpitations, guys moving in and out. There's been 5 players in and out on that interior line, but they should be better. That doesn't cover up the fact that they haven't gotten the job done. So for grading, it's like, sorry, well, if I turn in a bad paper, I'm going to get a bad grade. It doesn't matter that any reason why I got to that point, and they're not playing very well. And that's for all the talk about head coaching and offensive coordinators and quarterback play, if you're getting beat right up front, it's hard to do things. And right now they're getting beat. And the one caveat I will say on that is they don't play to their strengths either. What do guards and centers really want to do, especially if you've got a struggling corner? They want to go forward. They want to attack. And, going back to the Ravens game, when you bring Drew Lock in the game and you're averaging about 7 yards a carry and you run the ball 4 times, that's not on the interior line.
No.
That's on Pat Shurmur.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. Broncos are getting beat right now, most games on both sides of the ball in the trenches. And that's not a recipe for success, even in today's, spread offenses, tossing it around. If you're getting beat at the point of attack on both sides of the ball, that wears you down. And that's been the case for the Broncos the last 3-4 games. So it's unfortunate. We're both lower on the offensive line. I will say,
and if we're talking value based, what are you getting for your dollar? You got enough.
Yeah.
You got enough on the interior line. Graham Glasgow is one of the top 5 highest paid guards in the league.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing like one of the bottom 5. So it shocked me when I saw where he was on the list for, I go to Spot Rack and sort by salary and cap hits, and the number 2 guy was a guard.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, he must be really awesome then. So when your second highest cap hit is a guard and he's playing bottom 5, that's a sign of trouble.
Yeah. Yep. No, and I always get a chuckle when people say the Broncos didn't do anything to support Drew Lock when they went out there and were maybe even borderline reckless with some of their cash, paying Melvin Gordon when you aren't a team that's contending, and paying a guard that kind of money when you do solidify the position doing so, but
and as Peter says, it's easy to decide on Glasgow for next year. Yeah, you're gonna have some Glasgow money to play around with next year.
Maybe he turns it around. Maybe he turns it around.
Whether it's an outright waive or a restructuring, you're gonna have some Glasgow money next year.
Yeah. Let's keep moving on these grades here. We obviously have offensive line, quarterbacks so far. Running backs, I'm gonna give the running backs a solid B. It's the sample size isn't very massive. I think both have played pretty well, and you'd like to see a little bit more explosive runs, maybe even better sequencing with how they're using the backs. The reason I limit them a little bit, in fact, I'll bump it up to a B+.
That's where I am. Yeah,
B+. Javonte Williams maybe leaves some yards on the field with his vision. Sometimes there are holes there. He's pressing it and not finding the cutback lane, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's hard to see on the broadcast film, but on the all-22, when you break it down, it's like, oh, there was the cutback lane right there, and he just ran right into one where there is teeth of the defense or an offensive lineman. So could be better. He's breaking tackles like an amazing rate. Just got to be a little bit more patient, and that'll come, I think.
But they're doing well in the backfield as receivers too, and
both touchdowns.
For a rookie, Williams is doing a good job in blitz pickup as well. Mm-hmm. So that's how you stay on the field. That's how you get on the field. That's how you stay on the field. You make sure your quarterback's not getting hit as a running back. So I'm a B+ on those guys. If I'm going down the list of, I've got an expansion draft and where do I get to pick to help my team? I'm probably going to running back last. That's probably the last place I pick right now on this team.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because that's probably the highest graded unit on the offense, but also if we're looking at for a class coming into a season on a syllabus, running back makes up 5% of your final grade, where quarterback is like 50 and offensive line is 30. So what can you do? But no, you're a B plus as well at running back.
Yep.
Okay. B plus. Yeah. I mean, some of it is what are they being asked to do? Could they make more dominant runs? Yes. But the sample size is small. The situation hasn't been good the last 4 weeks for them. And the offensive line has been struggling.
You're grading, part of that's as a unit. We just gave quarterbacks C minus, and offensive line C minus, and interior line D minus.
Yeah.
And how good are the running backs going to be? Jesus.
Yep. I mean, just look at the Browns game. D'Ernest Johnson looking like a all-pro level back because the Browns offensive line is getting him 3-4 yards every time off the hoof. So
they're starting the line of scrimmage 3 yards deep.
Yep. Exactly. It's is what it is. We got some tougher graders coming in here. EJ saying RB is a C. Peter Middleton saying RB's got to be a B. Diamond Rattler saying a C as well. So I think they've been okay.
And Shane coming in with the stars. Good morning, Shane. Good morning. And good morning, Nick and Scott. Good morning, Shane. Do you think we need to see more of Mike Boone? I'm going to take this one first, Nick.
Okay.
No, we don't see enough of Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. I don't want to take their 12 carries a game and give 3 to somebody else. I want to see 25 to 30 carries I want to see 40 touches out of the running backs right now. And it's nowhere near that. So until I feel that Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon need a break, I want to see more of them, not more of somebody else. That's my opinion on that.
Here's my opinion. Get what you can for Melvin Gordon in a trade, and there's your snaps for Mike Boone. Because I'm definitely in the seller mode and looking for asset accumulation if I was in charge. And I think Boone is actually a pretty solid back. I want to see what he can do. Gordon, he's going to be approaching 30 years old here, probably coming up, and last year of his contract. And if this Broncos team loses to the Washington football team, if you can get even like a 6th-round pick for Melvin Gordon, and I see Tommy.
You just got your answer.
If somebody's
Peter, thanks for the stars.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to give up a 4 for an aging running back with 1 year left on their deal, even if they're looking good. But if you can get like a 6 for him, that'd probably be fine. That would create some reps for Mike Boone and maybe somebody else. But probably won't see that until after Washington football team, if at all. But that's what I'd be looking to do.
Defense tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's grade the defense tomorrow. We'll get into that. We still have tight end and running back here to go. Tight end, I'm going to give the tight end a D plus. It's not been great. It's hard. They're getting a little bit of a curve here because Alberto Quabenam's injured.
What did you say?
D as in dog.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was B as I was like, I know you didn't say B as in big time.
No. D is in disappointing. The Fant has been, it's really frustrating to watch. I'm watching all these college games and these running backs and these wide receivers. They get a cornerback or a safety around their waist and that player will fall forward for 1 yard, 2 yard and pick up the first down. In the last half of the Browns game, Noah Fant started doing that, but he's been an almost player all season. Getting close to breaking a big one, getting close to making the block, blah, blah, blah. And he's got to play better. I do wonder if he's having some, and I was watching the Eagles-Raiders game yesterday. They were talking about Lane Johnson with his mental health hiatus that he needed. I do wonder if Noah Fant is dealing with stuff still from his mother passing away this offseason. It sounded like that was tough for him this past offseason during training camp.
And even
he's struggling.
Even coming off an injury of sorts, even the rehabilitation process in the off season takes a hit. So it couldn't even be.
Yeah,
I'm over it now, but I didn't put in all the work that I normally could have or would have because in the off season to prepare for the season because I was wrecked, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
Again, there are extenuating circumstances for all of these, but if we're grading the unit based on the production, what we've seen, and to a certain extent compared to our expectations, the tight end position's a D. It's a D.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with you 100%. Somebody was asking, Tommy saying, what's Fant's trade value? I think right now you could probably get a 4 for him.
Maybe a 3.
You think a 3? Fant, you still have a year of control left. He is a phenomenal athlete, and he's still carrying that first-round value. And also, you don't have a budding option that's obvious right behind him that's pushing him off the depth chart. So this is a classic case of you probably want to hold on to that asset because if you're selling right now, you're selling at an all-time low. And if
I'm a general manager, I'd probably go after the Falcons' Hayden Hurst before I'd go after Noah Fant. I think you'd get similar production, and you could probably get him for cheaper.
Yep. But yeah, talking about selling low on Fant, I don't think it's just not a good investment to buy or to sell, I think, right now. So we'll see. Which one are we getting for?
Mark's killing me on here. This is Scott Cheerios for breakfast or dinner tonight. I'm a yogurt in the morning. I try to get my protein in the morning. So and we'll see. We'll see what dinner looks like tonight. It kind of depends on what everybody else is doing. My wife, bless her heart, she actually makes me separate meals because I'm a vegetarian. So if she doesn't, I'm not going to put any effort to eat. So I'll have Cheerios. But actually, I got Golden Grams in the cupboard. That's like a treat for me. So it might be Golden Grams. That's my favorite.
Man, shout out to Scott's wife for making him a separate meal. That's it's enough work to cook one meal, but to cook you something
I've
else.
said, as a relationship, I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything that I'm not going to do for them, and I'm not making everybody dinner. So I've never in 20 years asked her, "Hey, where's my dinner, woman?" Never, ever. Yeah. It's always thank you, or I say, "Hey, do you have dinner plans? If not, that's okay. I'm going to go eat Cheerios, but before I eat Cheerios, I want to know so I'm not screwing up your plans."
Man, what a chick. There we go. A little callback for Rosie Riveter earlier.
Marry over your head, guys. It makes you a better man. So it makes you want to make sure that she didn't realize she could do better and boot your ass out of the house.
Yeah, outkick your coverage, so to speak. I'm living that life too, and I would not live anything else. Wide receivers. Before we get on out of here, this is the one that I had the toughest time with. I think that there is just stylistically, there's so many issues right now with these wide receivers. I think Drew Lock's style matches better with what Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton do on the field. I also think neither of these wide receivers, they separate in the air versus separating on the grass. And I think Shermer and Teddy would be better with receivers who separate on the grass, KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy, versus the big vertical guys who win in the air. You like my hand motions? That's for everybody, for the visual folks that watching on YouTube and whatnot. But I'd probably give them I'm really grading them on the curve because of injury. I'm probably going to give them a B right now. I think that they are helping this team a bit. I know that you probably want a little bit more dynamism. Is that the word? Dynamism from
them.
Because you don't have right now their
explosiveness.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. After the catch or enough that you're making defenses afraid to stack the box and play. You have to play too high or split field coverage of the safeties. You're not getting that right now. But I do think that, Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton at 80%, starting to make plays, look a little bit healthier out there. I'm going to give them a B. They're somewhat limited to what's going on, but they're a little bit, it's hard to be too tough on them, right? And with Jerry Jeudy coming back in this Washington football team, I'm expecting them to be that much better. But I'm going to give them a B.
I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat on this assignment, and I'm going to give them an incomplete.
Ah, man, I was thinking about it, but
I'm going to give them an incomplete because I don't feel like, overall, if I'm grading, okay, this is what you turned in. You had a group project and only 3 of you, I can't fail you or, dismiss you or give you an incomplete. Oh, there you go, Jeremy. Yeah, me and him are right here. Me and Jeremy Nashin. I go incomplete on that one because you just, the guys that you expected to be out there, they haven't been. And it wasn't just like Patrick and Jeudy, 2 different type of guys. It's like you had this nice mix of dynamicism, explosiveness, size, speed, and then now all you've got is size. So you're losing your speed guys, which changes the whole feel of your offense. And we haven't been able to see what these receivers can do as a unit. Tim Patrick, probably a B plus. Sutton, probably a B plus, and that's it. I haven't seen much out of the other guys. Wide receiver 3s, 4 to step up in the absence of Hamler and Jeudy. But I don't know so much Hamler because he doesn't have much of a track record. But Jeudy changes this team. He changes the feel of this offense. He changes how they scheme against you, and he's been missing. And that's been a big miss. That looking back at everything, of all the injuries. That'd be actually a decent topic. Which injury has hurt the most? Jeudy, Chubb, Josie Jewell. There's some pretty good, pretty good votes for all of them. But I might go that the injury that's hurt the most right now is Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, it'd be tough to argue against it being Jerry Jeudy given what the offense looks like. And again, I keep coming back, and you guys can call it excuses if you want. I'm not making excuses. I think everybody's got to play better. I'm not saying, oh well, if what, blah blah blah. But we're looking for the reasons why this team is struggling, and I really do think there is a identity crisis and fit issue with the offense Shermer is trying to run. Teddy Bridgewater and the receivers the Broncos have. All of those together, and not having a strong enough offensive line where you can dictate with the ground game some. All that together is leading to issues on the Broncos. And if they had somebody who could separate on the grass, like a Jerry Jeudy, that would help the 3rd and longs. That would help the first downs as well. That would help the box numbers. That would help the type of scheme. Teddy Bridgewater holding the ball way too long right now. Guys aren't really separating.
Yeah, you got a guy that comes underneath a zone and gets the ball and turns 8 yards into 40. Yeah. I mean, Jerry Jeudy changes this entire offense.
Yep.
And, as Jeremy said, and I don't have a problem with this one either, the way they've been gashed in the running game since Jewel's been out.
Yeah.
Jewel, he wasn't, as a guy who was kind of an afterthought coming in, you feel his absence. You feel his absence for sure.
Yeah, we'll get into the linebackers tomorrow. Talking about that. I will say I would love to go back and watch, but the Broncos games have been painful enough that I don't want to just yet. But I'd be curious to see if Fangio really changed what he's asking of his linebackers and defensive linemen in the advent of Josie Jewell's injury, because it seems like to me there's a lot more two-gapping going on, specifically from Draymond Jones and Shelby Harris, and I think a lot of that coincides with Jewell getting hurt. And the Broncos doing everything they can to keep bodies off Strnad, and because Strnad just cannot hang at the point of attack, and that's limited your defensive line.
I feel like the linebackers have played back more, especially after that Raiders game. I guess maybe there was only one game since then.
Yeah,
but it felt like there was an overcorrection there where you got beat deep on everything. Well, then you're playing a nickel, and all your linebackers are 7 yards off the ball.
Looking like safeties almost.
And when your front 4 has 2 outside linebackers and 2 defensive tackles, and they're getting pushed 4 yards back, man, 3rd and 1's pretty easy to convert. 2nd and 4s are free plays.
Yep.
Instead of the Denver Broncos offense, which is 2nd and 9, 3rd and 8, you wonder why you can't. What's the league average on 3rd and 8 or more? It's probably 25 to 30%. And that's where the Broncos are. Well, so the Broncos are completing their 3rd downs on average. The problem is their 3rd downs are longer than everybody else's because they're not getting it done on 1st and 2nd down.
Yep. Man, a lot of issues right now, but 3 and 4 team, we're going to keep talking about it. So let's just do a run through real quick before we get on out of here. Just talking about the grades again. Quarterback, I gave him a C. You gave him a
C minus, right in there. So it was I could live with a C if I was going final answer.
Offensive tackle, I gave him a C minus. You gave Garrett Bowles and Massey a
C minus.
C minus. Interior offensive line, I gave them a D minus.
D minus.
D minus. Tight end, I gave them a D plus.
D.
And wide receivers, I gave a B, solid B.
Incomplete for me. Yep. Otherwise, I'd go B minus. And we forgot running backs. I went B plus.
Yep, and running backs B plus. See, running backs don't matter, so that's why we forgot them off. We're just gonna leave them off there. It's hopefully things will get better.
There is kickers until they miss one.
Yeah, God. Watching some college football this weekend. That's always honestly, because the kicking game is worse in college, it makes it a little bit more exciting, right? Like, because
I just hate it. The football is the ultimate team game. It's probably the best team game in all of sports. I mean, it's offensive line. When you're talking about offense, I've said this before. On offense, if one guy blows his assignment, the whole play can fail. I mean, if you ever watch an all-star game and watch these all-stars come together, they don't let the defense do anything because it's that hard to play offense. To get the snap counts, you bring in a new quarterback and the cadence changes, everything goes nuts. So it's hard. It's hard to play offense. So then the kicker's basically there by himself.
Yeah.
And the whole thing comes down to him, just him, make it or miss it. It's cruel. It's not. And I watched this in high school. I'm like, when I see high school coaches play for a field goal, I'm like, you're out of your mind. You are out of your mind. These 17-year-old kids with all this pressure on them. With everything else in football, it's team. It's team. Yeah, one guy can make a play, but everybody else has to do their job.
Yep.
So,
anyway. And I want to get to this comment from Gary before we get on out of here. Gary Melcher coming in, Melcher. He been commenting earlier. I don't recognize you, Gary, but welcome in. That big old black cowboy hat looking like.
I appreciate you.
Again, I don't see how you can grade any of these players when none of them seem to be playing for these coaches. They are professionals, but if coaches are demotivating the players, do we really have a good estimate on what we have from quarterback all the way down the line? Yes and no. The players, I mean, there's still tape out there, and you have a 6-game sample size, which is, I mean, that's enough. 6 games, that's enough for most players or teams to make a call on a prospect, right? They're not watching every single game of a prospect ever. They're looking at, it depends on the position too. You're going to watch more of the quarterbacks than you are the wide receivers or et cetera. But you can only go off what you have, and right now we have these 6 games. So even if some people are doing a little chickening out with the incomplete grades, but
I'm gonna do it again tomorrow, so get ready for it.
Yeah, I know it's fair. But we had the context of the discussion around it at least. But yeah, Gary, is it tough to grade them, or is it fair to grade them? Maybe not. Was it fair to totally grade and indict Drew Lock last year? Maybe not. But all we have is what we have to go on, and you can't just sit there and say, well, maybe if we change this variable, things will get better, right? Or this one little thing. You have to move forward.
The student may have had a crap teacher, but it's still his work.
Yep.
So there are circumstances or extenuating circumstances for all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
So is it fair? It's fair to point out that there are extenuating circumstances, and I think we've done a fair job of saying the offensive line. If I'm talking about the running backs, well, they're getting hit in the backfield. If I'm talking about the interior line, well, they ran 4 running plays. You got Quinn Miners and Drew Reisner and Glasgow. These guys want to go forward. The interior line against the Ravens, they run 4 run plays in the second half.
Yep.
That's not necessarily on them. So they're not being played to their strengths. And we try and address that in this discussion. But overall, their play has been, this is what we think of their play.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to be with you tomorrow as well. Thank you, everybody who joined us today. It was awesome to be coming at you Monday. And I saw Peter asking earlier, when are you guys going to be going? We're going to be doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday going forward here, seeing how that goes. So hopefully you guys will keep coming in and joining us. We wanted to do 45 minutes, but here we are coming at an hour. So going to close that on up. Follow us on Twitter at HuddleUpPod.
Let's try and get out at 45. I'm like, good luck.
That's me. That's me, not you. Twitter.com at Mile High Huddle and at Huddle Up Pod. Follow us also at Scout Kennedy for Scott and myself at Nick Kendall MHH. Make sure you go to Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod.
I stepped on you with this one. Peter coming back in with stars saying he loves the 3 days. Appreciate you, Peter.
Yeah, we love you, Peter. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we also make sure you're joining us on YouTube by liking, subscribing, and sharing, and going to Scott's page at youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. And I'm starting to see it on YouTube. People are starting to at me on, not on YouTube, on Twitter, where people are getting their mugs going. And if we have 3 shows a week, and you guys are joining us as well, make sure you're getting us the Mile High mugs here. Broncos for breakfast with Nick Kendall and Scott Kennedy. Go to huddleuppod.com, get those in. I know Scott got the bigger mug option. I got the smaller one, but
I'm overcompensating.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have gotten the bigger one just because of waking up at 6:30 a.m. to do these shows. But it's a lot of fun. We appreciate all you guys coming in. Make sure you go to Huddle
straight out of the press. I get too many grounds in my mouth, so
just black teeth. But make sure you go to huddleuppod.com to get your swag on. The prices are there, Tommy Simmers, and they have a 11-ounce option and another one. I don't even remember which
15.
one is which. 15. So make sure you guys get that. Add us on Twitter when you get them too. That's been really, really humbling, I guess is the word. I don't know how to say, like, oh man, we got this mug that has my name on it. I'm just some idiot out here in the Pacific Northwest rambling around. You know what Iowa stands for, right? Idiots out wandering around. Idiots out wandering around. And I've really embodied that out here in the Pacific Northwest with the hiking. So appreciate you guys and everything supporting us. We'll see you tomorrow. Scott, what's the rest of your day look like? Yeah, gonna watch some prospects?
I slept till like 7 today, so I got to catch up on a lot of work. And then I got a lot of stuff to catch up on. And what I'll be doing is I've got 3 shows in the hopper from Saturday, Sunday, and today, where I'm going to take some of the clips that I thought, because I've been here on all of them, where I thought were really interesting, nice little sound bites, 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And I'm going to be putting them on YouTube. So make sure you're liking and subscribing to the Mile High Huddle YouTube channel, because I'll be putting more of these on YouTube. Some bite-sized clips and also promotion for the show. So I'll be hitting some of those. So I'll see if Nick said anything worth clipping, and try not to just do mine. I probably won't do mine.
Yeah, and remind me tomorrow. We're going to do the defensive grades, and also I have my preliminary top 10 for the NFL draft big board already. I'm starting to sort some of these guys.
I want Jordan Davis.
I have my top 5 set. He might be in the 6 through 10 range.
If you run a 3-4, you want Jordan Davis. It's that simple. I mean, think of those immovable objects on the Baltimore Ravens. They're 3-4s. That I want Jordan Davis.
Yeah. We're gonna have to get into it. But we're gonna have a whole off season for that. But guys, we appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 Mountain Time AM. Until then, stay safe. Go Broncos.